What's up everyone, today I want to talk about one of the best builds for leveling a Druid in Diablo 4 Season 8, and that is with a Storm Zoo build. Now, Druids have always been one of the slower or more clunky classes to level, but coming into Season 8 we are getting some good changes, especially in the lightning abilities that help with, spirit generation and getting the class going a little bit earlier. On top of that, Lightning Storm and pets have been buffed, which is fantastic because they were already pretty fun to level with. And the best thing of all, the new boss powers, the new Season 8 mechanic where a lot of our damage comes from, there is a perfect one for leveling. So the way we get these boss powers is from defeating the, high-end bosses. However, some of them come from world bosses, and one in particular from one of the world bosses gives us increased damage and a massive boost when we use a channeled spell, which is exactly what we are doing with this build. The build mostly focuses about using as much lightning as we can, using Lightning Storm to just rain down damage. We also have Hurricane, which brings in added damage to those around us, and our wolves have mini hurricanes spinning around them. So yeah, it's a fun one, it's a very strong one while leveling, and I hope you enjoy it. If you find this useful, do consider subscribing to the channel. I make a ton of Diablo 4 builds and guides, and I also stream if you want to come hang out or ask any questions. But let's get into it. Okay, so first up for the skill tree, let's go full screen to the top. So first things first, we take Storm Strike. We take 1 point in there, we take 1 point in Enhanced, and we take 1 point in Fierce. Now, we don't put points in this for damage, but this is a good way to regenerate our spirit. Lightning Storm has a good chunk of spirit requirement. It takes a good amount of spirit, and with bonuses like this here, your core skills generate more spirit but do more damage, and then we have this, your basic skills generate more spirit. So those together mean that Storm Strike is really good just to throw it out, generate spirit, and make enemies vulnerable. Really good starting point. Then we go into Lightning Storm. We 5 out of 5 that. That's where we just bring down these big lightning strikes. We go into Raging to gain an additional lightning strike. And then again, we go 1, 3, 3 here to give us more damage and increase our generation. Okay, when it comes to defensives, I love Blood Howl. Blood Howl is so incredible for leveling. You gain a heal. If you put 5 points into this, you gain a 25, 26% heal, which is incredible. Every time you defeat an enemy, the cooldown is reduced, so you can cast this a lot, and it regens spirit. Like I say, this is a spirit heavy build, so having this is incredible. Just constantly being able to just pop a button, fill your health back up. You don't have to put too much in defensives because this is off cooldown so often. It's really, really nice. However, I will say, coming into Season 8, Cyclone Armor has had a ton of buffs, and they've reworked the final part, so instead of pushing enemies away, you can suck them in. Now that will work very well with this build, because we're doing these lightning strikes. They do a lot in clusters, so it would work quite well. But I can't see myself going away from Blood Howl, but I will say, if you're interested, do consider trying Cyclone Armor. Coming down to here, I would go 5 out of 5 into Poison Creeper. It's just great AoE damage. It's always been good damage, and it's been buffed. You get Enhanced, so you immobilize, and poisons are increased by 1 second. Then you go for Brutal. Crit strike chance is increased by 20% against enemies that have been damaged by Poison Creeper. Now, the way we use the pets is mostly as utility. We don't purely go in on damage, but Poison Creeper plus the buff to Poison Creeper, it is worth doing this time. On the wolves, the reason we take the wolves is mostly because they carry our hurricanes for us. So, when you cast it, it will also go around your wolves. So it's a really good way to have additional storm just all over the screen. So 1 point in there, 1 point into Enhanced, and then 1 point into here. Your attacks have up to 40% chance to fortify you. We don't really care about their damage, so we don't worry about the wolf pack. We go for 3 out of 3 in Nature's Reach for increased damage to ranged enemies. We go for Humanity for increased damage in human form because that is what we are in most of the time. I think pretty much all our skills are human skills. Then we grab Clarity. After you use a companion skill, your next core skill deals increased crit strike chance, which is our lightning, which is perfect. We can grab Call of the Wild. Your companion skills deal more damage. And then coming down into here, we have this lightning cluster. Now, it depends a lot on your gear. A lot of this is lucky hit related. I think pretty much all of it is lucky hit related. So it's kind of up to you how heavy you want to go in on the lucky hit. If you can, you can do 1, 1, 1, 3, 3. Early on, you might want to go more into here, increase the duration of Hurricane. You might want to 3 out of 3 that, and then 1 out of 3 that. And then as you get more lucky hit, move towards the end because that is where more damage comes from. So that's kind of something you can move along as you play more. On the Hurricane, 5 out of 5, big damage. There's another great source of damage. We've got an extra one here that makes them slower, and then going into here to natural also makes them vulnerable. So this is a really good ability to support our Lightning Storm, especially consider it's on our wolves. That makes pretty much everything, even the ones we're not near, affected by these buffs as well, debuffs as well. Down to here, we take 1 point into here to go 3 into Envenom. You and your companions gain 30% bonus crit strike damage against poisoned enemies. Because of our Poison Creeper and the passive, the always having the poison aura around us, that means that enemies are going to be poisoned a lot. So we're going to get that benefit a lot of the time. Down into here, you can go 1-3 here or 1-2, depending how many points you want to put up here. I like 1-2. This gives us, you know, increased storm damage, which is great. On the passive, I'd get Perfect Storm. Storm skills that you cast gain 2 Spirit and deal 60% increased damage when damaging a vulnerable, immobilized, or slowed enemy. And we've already talked a lot just in the skill tree about Vuln and about Slow. And, you know, if you have a lucky hit, you're going to trigger the Immobilize as well. There's a lot of ways to do that. And, you know, we've not even talked about like the gear or the Spirit Hall, things like that. So you're going to get this a lot. Now, I've tried these before in other builds. And, you know, with this build especially, this is definitely the right choice. There's ways you can like tweak the build to fit some other things, but this is the way to go, especially for leveling. But yeah, that's the skill tree. Okay, now for the spirit boons. On the deer, I would go for Gift of the Stag. So you gain increased max spirit and you gain spirit every second. Now this is getting buffed, well, it's getting changed in season 8. The max spirit is coming down from 40 to 30, but the per second is going up from 5 to 10. And this is massive while leveling. You know, early spirit generation, you want to be casting your core skill as much as possible and your basic as little as possible. And this is perfect for making that happen. On the eagle, I would take 2. I would take Scythe Talons. The main thing there is 15% increased lucky hit. We talked about the importance of lucky hit in the skill tree and how much we get from it. So definitely grab that one. And then I'd also get Avian Wrath for crit strike damage. Coming down to here, Wolf, I would go for lucky hit. Crit strikes have a chance to reset your companion skills. Now, the main big damage increase there is coming from our Poison Creeper. We 5 out of 5 Poison Creeper, and it's just a massive damage boost. It's good AoE. It's good like boss damage. Anything with like a big chunky health pool, it's just good against. And finally on the snake, I would grab Overload. Dealing damage with storm skills, lightning bolts and dancing bolts also applies poison. And then lucky hit, dealing poison, has a chance to summon lightning bolts. So it's a win-win, works really well, like we just said, with the poison lightning combo. But yeah, that's the spirit boons. Okay, now let's talk about the gear and the aspects and everything. And I'm going to use the full guide for this because it's easier to see everything just like this without hovering over the items. This will be out at the same time as video. Everything you need, you know, the boss powers, the spirits, the abilities to use, things like that. So let's go through it. Okay, so you don't need any of these. None of these are build reliant. If you find them, more damage, more defenses. None of these are needed. But let's go through them because there are some here that give you a massive damage boost. So on the helmet, Aspect of Might is a damage reduction, up to 20% damage reduction. Spirit Bond is another damage reduction, so your damage is redirected to your companions, and your companions cannot go down, which is incredible. Aspect of Wolf's Rain is good on the gloves. Casting Hurricane also spawns a smaller one on your wolves for up to 8 seconds. Now they do less damage, but the benefit here is they're going to be all over the screen. Your wolves are going to be jumping around and everything, and there is a lot we get from our Hurricane. We also get slows enemies. We also get makes enemies vulnerable. So that's just more of that happening, which is fantastic. Then we go into Aspect of Audacity. When there are at least 5 close enemies, stun them. That builds for like crowd control, stunning enemies, immobilizing enemies, all that kind of thing. Works really well. Aspect of Rushing Wilds. Casting the companion skill grants you 20% movement speed. Now, we are a druid, we are slow. We don't have the mobility of like a Spiritborn to dash across the screen or like a, you know, a blinking around like a sorceress. So this is much needed. As well, with our spirit boons, we also get the thing where our companions come off of cooldown faster, so we can cast that quite a lot. Okay, now on your weapon, there are much better ways to play this. There are much better ways. If you are playing a more defensive build, you can go into Fortify, you can take Retaliation. That is a good damage boost, but because we're just going like no defenses really, we're just going like full level as fast as possible, we don't really have that option. So your options are kind of between this. You can go for Aspect of Inner Calm on the weapon, which would be increased damage, triple after standing still. Because we're chain channeling our lightning storms, this could go on your two-hander if you want, or you could go for Rune Workers. Crit strikes with storm skills cause lightning bolts to periodically strike enemies for 3 seconds. Each dealing lightning damage, your lightning bolt damage is increased for every 100 willpower. Now, this gets significantly better the better your gear gets. As you get better crit strike chance, and as you get more willpower, this just gets better and better and better. So on a two-hander, it is incredibly strong. At the very start of the game, like let's say you get these aspects at the start of the game, you might get more from using Inner Calm on your weapon and, you know, Rune Worker on your amulet. If you don't know, if you're new to Diablo, put in a aspect on your amulet, gives it a 50% boost. Put it on a two-hander, gives it a 200% boost. So you get a lot of, these are like the 2 key slots, they get boosted. So I'd say early game, switch these around. As you get like a little bit better gear, get into this setup. On the rings, I would go for Lightning Dancer, Lightning Storm, and Lightning Bolt crit strikes have a chance to spawn lightning bolts, really good. And then Aspect of the Stampede, gain 1 additional companion, an additional companions deal more damage. That is how I would run this. There are some really good uniques. There is some really good things we could put on this to make it do a lot more damage. But I wanted to keep it simple. I don't like the feeling of, you know, oh, if I don't get this unique, I don't feel like I'm doing the build fully and it feels bad. I like to just make something that's very easy to get going, and this is very simple to get going. So yeah, that's the gear. Okay, onto the boss powers. So with the boss powers, unless they change something, unless they do something a little bit different when it comes out, they might start giving these away for free as part of the, you know, the campaign quests. Maybe, we don't know. But as it stands right now, the only way to get the boss power is to defeat the boss. You know, you want Duriel's boss power, you got to go beat Duriel. You want Lord Zir's power, you got to beat Lord Zir. And you're not going to do that while leveling. You're not going to be doing that. So there's no point saying, oh yeah, this power works really well, because you're never going to see it. So I've tried to go with a boss power that is achievable. This is the Wanderer's Death chest beam. Now, Wandering Death is a world boss. So if you can see the world boss at any time, go and get it. Any level, any whatever you are, just turn up to the world boss. They always get defeated. They always go down. So it might take a while, but go and defeat them. You can also like track when the bosses spawn. They spawn every few hours. So see when you know, Wandering Death's up and go and beat it. That will be a massive damage boost. While channeling a skill, spawn a beam that deals 300% damage per second. Enemies hit take 50% increased damage. And our Lightning Storm is a channeled spell, so it's perfect. Then we can go for these all come from incursions, which is something we can go do. They just like think like Helltides. They just spawn in and we can just go do them. So you can go and get these anyway. Increase crit strike chance from the Embrace. You got Beastmaster's training, which gives us summons deal more damage. And if you look at our abilities, Poison Creeper is a summon and Wolves are a summon, so that works pretty well. And then we can go for Outlaw's Sharpshooter, which it deals increased damage to enemies further away. So all of those work really, really well. Like I say, there are going to be better ones that come at endgame, but this is going to be a very good boost and is obtainable while leveling. So yeah, that's the powers. Okay, the only other thing to talk about really is the Paragon Board. Now, you know, this is a leveling build. You're not going to be, you know, worrying too much about endgame, but if you get, you know, to the later levels and you want to keep playing this, here's a good starting Paragon Board to set up, something you can start putting your points into. Main tree, Electrocution. Electrocution gives you increased lightning damage per willpower that you use, so you can just take all of the willpower nodes. It's a really good place to just dump your nodes early. Just put your Paragon points in here, get loads of lightning damage. Second board, I would go for Thunderstruck. Thunderstruck is increased storm damage based on your damage to close and damage to distant enemies. Really, really good. It also has some good like crit strike stuff, which is good for us. Vuln, good for us. Up here, I would go for Earth and Sky, which gives you increased magic damage. Nature magic skills deal increased damage to vulnerable and crowd-controlled enemies, which they are going to be a lot. And it boosts these nodes here, close damage and storm damage, which is really, really good. Okay, second one I would add in is Heightened Malice. Heightened Malice is while a poisoned enemy is nearby, you deal increased damage plus 5% more for each additional poisoned enemies. And we have the Poisoned Aura from our Poison Creeper, so that's going to be going off all the time. In the cluster, I would go for Fulminate, which is for every 5 decks, you deal increased lightning damage. Perfect. And then I would go for the Sinister Tendrils, which gives us nature skills that do increased damage against poisoned enemies, which is, you know, again, perfect. Lucky hit, you know, if you lucky hit, nature skills have up to 40% chance to deal poison damage, which is good. And then I drop in the Exploit Glyph, which is a Vuln booster. So yeah, this is a good place if you just want to, if you're just enjoying it and you're not hitting there comes a point where you're playing a leveling build and you hit a wall and you hit the wall of like, I need more defensives, I need more scaling damage, whereas leveling builds are quite simple. You're going to start needing uniques and stuff like that. But if you're finding yourself just blasting, you're going up the torment levels and you're still enjoying it, here's a good place to spend a ton of your Paragon points. So yeah, that's everything really. That's the whole build. I hope you like it. I really, really like the changes they're making to Lightning, and the early game adaptation that Druid's getting to not feel so clunky is going to be fantastic. But yeah, that's the build. If you like the style of the video, do consider subscribing. I make a ton of Diablo build guides every season, plus other stuff out of season. So yeah, if you like that, do consider subbing. I also stream if you want to come hang out. But that's it from me. I'll stop rambling on. Thank you for watching. Take care. Catch you in the next one.